One of the most common questions I get when it comes to being gluten-free or having celiac or any type of gluten intolerance is, how am I going to adjust my shopping trips each week? How do I know what to buy? How do I know what I can eat? And what stores should I be going to find that stuff? So today I'm going to take you to two different stores. We're going to go to Trader Joe's and Whole Foods. I'm going to highlight some of the best gluten-free things I've found, some things I haven't tried yet, and some things that you can be looking for at your local stores, as well as things that you can buy on a daily basis, like produce, meat, dairy, any of those type of things that are not going to contain gluten, and see how you can adjust your diet to work with more of those whole foods rather than relying on so many pre-made. So let's see what they have today. So one of the great things about Trader Joe's is that they have a rotating selection of gluten-free breads, bagels, hamburger buns, all of that. So it's really great to see what they have, and I've been able to try most of it. I would say one of my favorite things is this item right here. It's a gluten-free everything bagels. Tastes very similar to regular bagels, and a great option as replacement. In the baked goods section at Trader Joe's, I always try to see if they have new items for me to try. Today, we were able to find the cinnamon coffee cake muffins, and everything at Trader Joe's is gonna be labeled pretty big gluten-free. The cashier was nice enough to say that these are actually really good, so I'm excited to give them a try. When it comes to the Trader Joe's frozen section, be very clear about what you're reading, make sure you're checking all of those labels. Most of the time you won't find out if it's going to have wheat or gluten in it until you look at the ingredient side. Anything that is specifically stated as gluten-free is good. That's going to be their mac and cheese. They have a variety of pizzas that you can choose from. In the baking section at Trader Joe's, you'll find a variety of gluten-free flours, almond flours, and mixes. This is one mix that I really like to use. It's the buttermilk pancake and waffle mix. You can use it to make pancakes, waffles, anything you want. So that's been a really good find there. When it comes to shopping at Whole Foods, I'm a really big fan of their produce section. Produce are always going to be a safe option for you. So that's where you should be looking to fill most of your cart, and try to buy seasonal. Some seasonal items they have in right now are eggplant, okra. If you're looking to make your own Cajun things, you can use a gluten-free roux as the base. So gonna make some gumbo with these. It's peach season, so there's some fresh peaches as well as corn. So you can be covering multiple meals with just the produce you're getting. Once you've filled your cart with the meat and produce that you need, you can start to look for those more fun things. One of the things I really love about Whole Foods is their selection of sauces. Before coming gluten-free, I don't think you really think about those ingredients that go into some of your favorite sauces and that you might not be able to have them. So it's a really good place to find out what you should be looking for and what alternatives you can find. So here are some of my favorite alternatives. So if you ever like to cook using soy sauce, unfortunately that doesn't work with the gluten-free diet, but this is a great option. This is going to be a gluten-free, so right here, a gluten-free version of soy sauce. You can use it just as you would normal soy sauce in anything. And this is a great brand as well. They make sauces of all kinds. So they're gonna have another staple sauce right here in a gluten-free version. So that's something that I just keep in my pantry and can use at any time. And you can find some more fun sauces. I have a sauce for orange chicken in there that's gluten-free as well as a bulgogi sauce. And you're just looking for these certified gluten-free labels. That's just meaning that they're not using traditional soy sauce, and those are gonna be great options for you just to have in your pantry to continue to cook those foods that you love without being worried about that trace amounts of gluten. Keeping in mind that not everything is going to be explicitly labeled as gluten-free, grocery shopping is a great way to get to know how to read labels. This is one of my favorite pasta sauces right here, and I still make sure every time that I'm checking this ingredients list, making sure there's no additives, nothing that's going to contain gluten, and that's just something that becomes second nature once you start to do it a little bit, and you kind of find those brands that are going to be safe and good for you, and you can keep going back to them. So find a brand that works for you, find a sauce that you like, just make sure you're checking those labels. Another thing that Whole Foods does a really good job at is their gluten-free pasta. Pasta, I would say, is one of the more difficult things, at least for me, to live without. So it's really great that they have some gluten-free options there. They have all different types of bases. Some are lentil, some are chickpea, some are rice. It really runs the gambit of options. These are just 2 examples of ones that I really like. So this is going to be in the traditional pasta section. It's just a gluten-free lasagna noodle. Those are really great if you have young kids and are trying to keep those more traditional family meals. These are a really good option. Again, just make sure that you're reading the label. And this is going to be a certified gluten-free noodle, so that's how we know it's safe. So these are definitely something that you can find at your Whole Foods, and I would recommend checking out. So they have this fresh tortellini as well in the refrigerated section. It's with some of their other fresh pastas, so you just need to make sure that you're reading, looking for that gluten-free. Again, this is certified gluten-free labeled at the bottom, so you know this is going to be safe for you to eat. And this is another kind of fun find that you can't get at every store, and can be a fun addition to shake up your gluten-free meals. One other thing you might discover when you start walking down these aisles is the sheer amount of gluten-free flours. You can get any mixture of flour you're looking, if you're looking to make your own flour base, or if you're buying a cup for cup replacement. Those are all going to be available in the traditional baking section, as well as different mixes for cookies, cakes, anything you can imagine. Again, be looking through to make sure those are meeting your dietary needs, if you have any additional allergies. But these are also great options for people who are used to baking from a box. You can still do that with a gluten-free version. With baking, you can also find a lot of the breakfast items. Breakfast can be kind of hard for gluten-free sometimes. We're so used to waffles, French toast, the very wheat-based cereals. So it can be a little challenging when you first change what you're looking for. One of the things I love to have always growing up was oatmeal. Oatmeal can be kind of hard, making sure that the oats are totally clear of any gluten traces, and that's why you want to be looking for the correct labels of like certified gluten-free, and just checking where these ingredients are coming from. This is a good example of an oatmeal I like to use. But as long as you're watching your labels and taking care of yourself, you'll be able to find some good options, as well as looking at the large amount of cereals they have, making sure you're reading those ingredients. This is going to be really important, but you have some great options as well. I think one of the biggest fears people have when they first start shopping gluten-free is figuring out which bread to get and how much to get. I first want to say is, I think since becoming gluten-free, you'll find that you actually are going to eat less bread. There's a lot of other ways that you can be getting that starch and that protein. I've found myself relying more heavily on rice and beans and corn to get those starches instead of needing bread as all of your sides and all of your sandwiches. But if you do want to have bread for those sandwiches, there are a lot of great options. I would say Udi's is one of the more traditional options. You can find it in almost any grocery store. What I really like about Whole Foods is they have a variety of brands. Canyon Bakehouse would be one of my personal favorites, but I really encourage you to try as many different ones as you can to figure out what's going to be best for you. I'm still continuing to try new ones. I picked this up today. It's a gluten-free sourdough. Again, that's gonna be certified gluten-free. And that's just me continuing to find new options and new tastes. But pro tip I would give you for any gluten-free bread is to keep it in the freezer. Gluten-free bread is gonna mold a lot faster than the other breads. So one way to make sure that you're not wasting the money, because this bread is going to be more expensive than traditional bread, is to put it in the freezer when you're not using it. It doesn't affect the taste at all, but it's just gonna make sure that you're making the product last. Also in the freezer, I love to have a pint of ice cream. Ice cream can be another thing where there's a lot of trace gluten that you're unaware of. So it's really important to be checking the labels there. Jenny's is a brand that they carry at Whole Foods that I'm a big fan of. I really love that they specifically label their ice cream as gluten-free. And then you can also read the ingredients just to make sure that everything is good. But it's another great option for when you're looking for those sweet treats. Just keeping in mind that even if things aren't labeled as ice cream containing cookies or cake or anything like that, there can still be those trace amounts. So just making sure that you're reading the label and checking what you get, you still have some really great options. I hope this has been helpful in showing you that eating gluten-free and buying gluten-free at the grocery store doesn't have to be a scary process, and there are still so many things for you to eat and explore. I hope that this also gives you an opportunity to expand your palate and expand your diet. Don't just be looking for those gluten-free replacements, but look to expand what you're eating into those different food groups. And I hope this has been helpful and enjoyable, and I look forward to taking you to the next grocery store and we can find how you can continue to eat gluten-free.